Okay. So we are live everywhere. Just going to give it some time for people to tune in. Um, Now we're going to give it a couple minutes, see who all is going to join us. I know I'm a little later than normal, and I know all of you were just hanging on, waiting for me to show up. But we're here. I was picking up my dad at the airport this morning, so I've got a visit with him for the next week, and yeah, very excited for that. So as people tune in, make sure that you are tagging somebody in the comments, somebody that needs to be part of this community, somebody that needs to hear the message that we're delivering on this show. If you've been here before, you know the deal, you know what this is all about, you know why we're here. The music just started somewhere and I'm confused. Um, Sorry about that. Yeah, so if you've been here before, you know the deal. You know why we're here. You know the point of this show. The goal of the show is to reach athletes. The goal of the show is to help athletes become better versions of themselves and reach new levels in their athletic careers. So we talk about mindset, we talk about approach to training, we talk about anything and everything you can do to reach new levels in your career as an athlete. So as you tune in, make sure to tag somebody in the comments to make sure that they're here, make sure that they are getting this message as you are. And very, very soon here, we're going to get into the show. We're going to give it about 20 seconds, right about the 2-minute mark, and then we're going to get rolling. So make sure you are tagging somebody as you tune in and making sure that somebody else that needs this message is going to be here to receive it. So today we're talking about why you see plateaus in your athletic career. And let's get into the show now in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I am your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we're talking about why you see plateaus in your athletic career. So, first off, when I talk about plateaus, what do I mean? Because when we're looking at an athletic career, it's a little tougher to judge based off of data, because if you're competing, if you're winning, if you're training hard, then you would like to think that you're not plateaued, right? But when I talk about plateaus in terms of an athletic career, this is what I'm talking about. As you listen to this, what I want you to do is I want you to think back honestly on your last 6 months of training. Think back honestly on how you've progressed. Think about the athlete you were 6 months ago and ask yourself honestly, what are the major improvements that you've made over the last 6 months? What are the major improvements that you've made over the last 6 months? Because a lot of the time what I see happen is athletes that train very hard, athletes that show up every day, athletes that compete and still win can't point to those improvements. They can't point and say, last year compared to this year, these are the 5 top things that I've changed. These are the 5 biggest improvements I've made. So if you're listening to this now, think about that and ask yourself, what are the top improvements that you've made in the last 6 months as an athlete? And if you can't point to one, if you can't have one distinctive moment of this is what I did and this is where it positively affected my athletic career, you might have plateaued. And first off, don't worry, it's okay. These things happen to the best of us. Everybody's faced it. I know I have, as both a coach and an athlete, and I know that each and every person listening to this has as well. But today we're going to talk about why those come up, how to be aware of them, and then finally how to fix them. So areas that you can plateau in, first off, when it comes to being an athlete, you can plateau in your conditioning. This is one we see often. People plateau in their conditioning. So, especially working with fighters, what I see all the time is you've got athletes that, again, train super hard. They go for all their runs. They do all their lifting, yet still when they fight, they gas out. And instead of changing up what they're doing, they keep just showing up thinking that, I got to just keep showing up and eventually that problem's going to go away. And over time, that problem doesn't go away. And they realize that the problem wasn't how much conditioning they're doing. It's the type of conditioning that they're doing. That is a topic for another day, but that is one of the major areas I see athletes plateauing. Number two is a certain skill set. Do you ever see an athlete that is just known for a certain skill, known, especially in the world of combat sports, known for their striking or known for their grappling or known for, something that is really going to help them dominate whoever it is they might fight. When you see this, a lot of the time what starts to happen is in the regional scene in the earlier days, an athlete is known as, that guy who's just going to grapple you to death. And then they continue to just be that guy and they don't continue to progress their other skills because they're so confident in one area that is going to get them through. Whereas then when they start to reach higher level athletes, when they start to reach higher levels, that same skill set that they had isn't good enough anymore. And the reason that happens, the reasons they plateau is because, again, they get comfortable in their skill set. And instead of consciously trying to improve it, they're just showing up every day, checking the box, putting in the time, putting in the work. And then one other area that I often see athletes plateau is in certain levels. So, an athlete can fight for a certain promotion, and then for some reason just isn't able to go above that promotion, isn't able to get further than whatever level they're at. And a lot of the time, again, this comes down to being comfortable. They're doing very, very well where they're at. They're doing very, very well at that specific level, at that specific time. And as they continue to compete at that level, they're not changing up enough to allow them to compete with people at the next level. They're not adding skills to their arsenal. They're just continuing to rely on the skills that they have, which works for where they're at, but won't work when they reach that next level. So again, today we're going to address why these come up, and we're going to address how to fix them. So as I've gone through those, I hope you've been able to look back. I hope you've been able to reflect and maybe see one or two areas that you've plateaued yourself. And if you have, I'd love to know what those were. If you're here live, drop a comment. If you are listening to this back on the podcast, watching this back on the YouTube channel, whatever it might be, just have a think to yourself. Take a minute and think about that. Where have I maybe plateaued over the last few months, and what can I do to fix it? So one of the main reasons that plateaus come up for athletes is they overdo it. You're training every single day. You're never giving yourself a break. You're always go, 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 go. And in turn, you're showing up and you're just checking the box. You're just showing up for the sake of saying that you showed up. You're not consciously putting that effort in that needs to be in order to be successful. So the way to catch this, if this might be you, is think about when you started training. Think about however long ago that was. Think about when you started training. How excited were you when you woke up every day and you knew you were training that night, or you woke up every day and you knew you were training that day? The chances are you were super excited. You're looking forward to it. You're excited. You're passionate. You're looking forward to whatever it is you're going to learn that day. Now, bring yourself back to the present a year, 2 years, 5 years later, and think about it this way. Are you still that same level of excited? Are you waking up every day now just as excited as you were when you started to add new skills to your arsenal, to, work on those basic fundamentals, to hit the strength and conditioning gym and get that workout in? Are you at that same level of passion and excitement? And if you're not, don't feel bad. If you're not, don't try to hide from that. That happens as you progress through your career. That happens to all of us. But what I want you to do now is understand that if you are at that point, if you are at the point where you're sort of feeling like, I'm more just showing up to show up than I am truly out of the passion and the excitement, this might mean you're overdoing it. And if you're overdoing it, if you're overtraining, if you're doing too much, you start to lose the passion. And if you start to lose the passion, you start to lose the progression. Because if you're not as passionate about what you're doing, you're not as excited about what you're doing, then as you continue to push through it, what starts to happen? You start to just check the box. You're going through the motions. You're not as excited about the changes you're making, the growth you're seeing, everything like that. And you're not getting as much out of that training as you could. So if you're overdoing it right now, what is the solution to that? It is just about as simple as you could possibly imagine. Take a break. Give yourself a break. whether that's even just a couple of days, whether that's, a week, whatever you might need, take a break. And if you're overdoing it, that break, that time away is going to allow you to recharge, and in turn is going to allow you to find that passion again. Max, appreciate you coming on, Bev. So taking a break is just going to allow you to find that passion again, find that drive again, and in turn reignite what you had when you started training. So the next thing that I often find gets in the way for athletes, the next thing that I often find athletes struggle with when it comes to plateauing, is they're looking at the wrong problems. And the prime example I see of this, working with combat athletes especially, is when athletes gas out in their fights. The immediate go-to that I see so many of them think of is, I need to do twice as much running. Whatever I'm doing right now, I need to do more of. I need to double down. I need to go harder, all of those things. If you're here right now and you resonate with that, drop me a comment and tell me, because I know a lot of you out there are doing it, but drop me a comment and let me know. Because this in itself is the wrong problem to be looking at. If you're gassing out in your fight and you're doing cardio 3, 4, 5 days a week, the problem isn't how much cardio you're doing. Instead of 30-minute runs, you don't need to start doing hour-long runs. The problem is the kind of cardio you're doing. The problem is the quality, not the quantity. So instead of looking and saying, I need to double down and I need to do more, because that's just going to continue to plateau you, you need to look at what you're doing, how to change it, how to improve it to get the result you're looking for. A lot of the time, problems require more investigation than we think they do. If you're having an issue when it comes to your athletic career, the chances are it is not surface level. The chances are it is not just make this one change and then all of a sudden everything's better. The chances are you really do need to dig deep and figure out what you need to change in order to see that next level of success. So how do we fix these plateaus? If you're at a point right now where you've plateaued a little bit, you're not seeing the same progress, you're maybe losing the passion, losing the love a little bit from when you started, how do we fix this? Number one, feedback. Stop being stupid. Every athlete that you watch on TV, every athlete that is currently where you want to be, got there with a team. So why are you trying to do it alone? Everyone needs help to be at their best. Every best athlete out there has a team, and you need one too. So if you're plateauing right now, if you're struggling, if you're not sure what your next step is, instead of sitting here and thinking, well, I'm just going to double down and I'm going to figure it out, start reaching out. Start asking people around you. If it's trouble with your gas tank, I know a guy who might be able to help with that. If it's trouble with a certain skill set, maybe try talking to another coach. Maybe try getting your coach to collaborate with somebody. Add to your arsenal. Don't just try to figure it out yourself. Getting outside perspective could be exactly what you need in order to make the switch and then continue to progress at a higher and higher level. Janelle, thanks for coming on to the show. I appreciate you. And congrats on the win this past weekend. But getting outside perspective could be exactly what you're looking for and exactly what you need in order to be successful, in order to unlock that next level of yourself. The other thing I want you to do is get away. If you've been training for the past year straight without ever taking a week or 2 weeks off, you could just be burnt out. You've been going through the motions. You've been going around in circles. You've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. And in turn, you hit the point where your body just doesn't have it in you anymore. You hit the point where you just don't have that ability to actually find the problems anymore. So getting away allows you to, again, reignite the excitement, allows you to get excited about coming back to training, but allows you to see it in a different light as well. It allows you to look at the issues you're having and see them from the outside instead of see them from being in and being on it all the time. So that in itself can be a massive thing for you as you start to see those plateaus, as you start to find those issues. Get away, get excited about training again, and get yourself to the point where you can come back at it fresh. So that is it. That is all. I appreciate you all tuning in. I appreciate you all taking the time to join in on the show today. And If you got some value from this, I would love to know what it was. I would love to know what you took away. If you're here live, drop me a comment and let me know what that might have been for you. If you are listening back to this on the replay, on the podcast, watching the YouTube channel, whatever it might be, make sure that you share this show with a teammate, share it with a friend, share it with somebody who needs to hear this message. Our goal with this show is to impact the lives and careers of millions of athletes around the world. And we do that through you. We do that through word of mouth. We do that through you getting value and you sharing it with other people that need to hear the message. So for all of you that have sent me messages about the way the show's impacted you, or sent me messages about things you've learned from me, I appreciate you so much. Thank you, and continue to share it around. Continue to spread the message. Thank you again. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we'll talk to you all again very soon.